Have you ever wondered how to make your orchids bloom spectacularly year after year? Orchids, with their vibrant hues and unique shapes, are more than just a feast for the eyes. They're a testament to nature's diversity and adaptability. Let's embark on a journey that takes us from the tropical rainforests to the rugged mountainous regions, all through the lens of these enchanting blooms. As we traverse this path, we'll encounter a myriad of orchid species, each more fascinating than the last. These exotic beauties, found in the most unexpected corners of our world, share a secret language, a language of light, water, temperature, and tender care. By understanding this language, we can unlock the full potential of our own orchid collections. Now that we've discovered the wide world of orchids, let's delve into the secrets of their care. Care for an orchid goes beyond the occasional watering. It's about creating an environment that mimics their natural habitat. Orchids are more than just beautiful flowers. They are exotic marvels that have evolved over millions of years to survive in diverse ecosystems. Learning to replicate these conditions is the key to unlocking their vibrant blooms. Let's start with light. Orchids thrive in soft dappled light, akin to the filtered sunlight that seeps through a tropical rainforest canopy. Too much direct sunlight can scorch their leaves, while too little can hinder their growth. Finding the right balance is crucial. Next, let's talk about water. Orchids prefer a rain then drought watering schedule. In the wild, they experience heavy rainfalls followed by periods of dryness. So, water your orchids thoroughly, then let them dry out before the next watering. Remember, overwatering is the fastest way to kill an orchid. Temperature is another essential factor. Most orchids prefer a temperature range between 65 and 85 degrees Fahrenheit during the day and a drop of about 10 degrees at night. This mimics the natural temperature fluctuations in their tropical environments. Humidity plays a critical role too. Orchids are used to humid environments, so aim for a humidity level between 50 and 70%. You can achieve this by placing a water-filled tray near your orchid or using a room humidifier. Last but not least, feeding. Orchids need nutrients to grow and bloom. Use a balanced orchid fertilizer to provide them with the essential elements they need. Remember, it's better to underfeed than overfeed. Think weekly when it comes to feeding your orchids. In a nutshell, orchid care revolves around replicating their natural habitat as closely as possible. It involves a careful balance of light, water, temperature, humidity, and feeding. Each factor plays a vital role in the health and vitality of your orchid. Mastering these essentials is the first step to nurturing vibrant, healthy orchids. Even with the best intentions, we can sometimes do more harm than good. Let's explore some common orchid care pitfalls. First up on our list is overwatering. There's a saying that more orchids have drowned than died of thirst. This isn't just a catchy phrase, it's true. Orchids, especially those native to tropical rainforests, are used to periods of rain followed by a chance to dry out. They don't like to have wet feet, so to speak. The key is to water thoroughly, then allow your orchid to almost dry out before watering again. Next, we have insufficient lighting. Orchids love light, but not too much. If you've ever spotted an orchid growing in the wild, you'll notice it's often nestled in a tree's branches, enjoying dappled sunlight. Try to mimic these conditions at home. Too little light, and your orchid may not bloom. Too much, and you risk scorching the leaves. And then there's the soil. Orchids aren't like other houseplants. They don't grow in regular potting soil. In nature, many orchids are epiphytes, growing on trees with their roots exposed to air. So it's crucial to use a special orchid mix that promotes good air circulation around the roots. Now let's look at some visual comparisons. On the left, you see an orchid that's been overwatered. Notice the yellowing leaves? That's a sure sign of too much water. On the right, we have a healthy orchid with firm green leaves. Here's another example. An orchid that hasn't received enough light will have dark, lush leaves but few, if any, blooms. In contrast, a well-lit orchid will boast a vibrant mix of healthy leaves and stunning flowers. And finally, observe the difference in root health when using the wrong type of soil. The orchid on the left, grown in regular potting soil, has dark, soggy roots, a sure sign of root rot. On the right, the orchid grown in proper orchid mix displays firm white roots with green tips, a picture of health. Avoiding these common mistakes will set your orchids on the path to thriving. Let's hear from the experts who have dedicated their lives to understanding these exotic beauties. First up, we have Dr. Green, a botanist with over 2 decades of experience studying orchids in their natural habitats. He shares, orchids are not your typical houseplants. They're epiphytes, which means they grow on other plants in nature, not in soil. This is why they require special potting mix and care. Next, we meet Miss Bloom, a renowned orchid grower who has won multiple awards for her stunning orchid displays. She reveals her secret. Patience is key with orchids. They're slow growers and bloomers, but when they do, it's a breathtaking spectacle. I like to think of it as nature's reward for my patience. Then there's Mr. Leaf, an orchid enthusiast turned professional grower. He shares a common misconception. Many people think orchids are delicate and difficult to care for, but they're actually quite resilient. The key is understanding their unique needs and meeting them consistently. We also hear from Miss Petal, a horticultural therapist who uses orchid care as a form of therapy. She says, caring for orchids can be therapeutic. The process of nurturing these plants, watching them grow and bloom, it's incredibly rewarding. It teaches us about patience, care, and the beauty of life. And finally, we have Professor Stem, an orchid researcher who adds, orchids have an incredible ability to adapt to different environments. Each species has its own set of needs, which is why it's important to know the specific requirements of the orchid you're caring for. These insights are not just about growing orchids, but also about appreciating their uniqueness and the lessons they teach us. They remind us that orchid care is a journey filled with challenges, learning, and moments of awe-inspiring beauty. So, whether you're a novice dipping your toes into the world of orchids or a seasoned enthusiast looking to expand your knowledge, remember the wisdom of these experts. Embrace patience, understand the unique needs of your orchids, and enjoy the rewarding process of nurturing these exotic beauties. With these expert insights, you're well on your way to becoming an orchid connoisseur. Now that we've covered the basics, let's tackle some advanced topics in orchid care. First, let's talk about repotting. Orchids need to be repotted every 1 to 2 years, not because they outgrow their pots, but because the potting medium breaks down. When this happens, your orchid loses the air it needs at its roots. To repot, gently remove your orchid from its pot, carefully prune away any dead or decaying roots, and place it in a new pot with fresh orchid mix. Next, we'll discuss dealing with pests and diseases. Orchids can sometimes be affected by pests such as aphids, mealybugs, and spider mites. To control these pests, use a solution of water and mild soap or a specialized insecticidal soap. But remember, prevention is better than cure. Regularly inspect your orchids for any signs of pests or diseases and isolate any affected plants to prevent the problem from spreading. And finally, one of the most rewarding aspects of orchid care, encouraging reblooming. Orchids typically bloom once a year, and getting them to bloom again can seem like a daunting task. But with the right care, it's entirely possible. After your orchid's flowers have faded, cut the flower stem back to just above a node and continue to provide the right care. With time, you should see a new flower spike emerge. Remember, patience is key when it comes to orchid care. They are slow-growing plants that reward careful, attentive care with spectacular blooms. Don't be disheartened if your orchid doesn't bloom right away or if you encounter a few hurdles along the way. With time, patience, and the right care, you can cultivate beautiful, healthy orchids. With these advanced skills, you're ready to take on any challenge your orchids might throw your way. We've unveiled the secrets to nurturing vibrant tropical blooms. Now it's your turn. Let's recap. Orchids, with their stunning diversity and adaptability, thrive best when we mimic their natural habitat. Remember the essentials: light, water, temperature, humidity, and feeding. Avoid common pitfalls like overwatering or insufficient lighting. Listen to the wisdom of seasoned growers and botanists, and don't shy away from advanced care techniques like repotting or dealing with pests. Each step of this journey will bring you closer to the reward of breathtaking blooms. Picture it, a bud, unassuming at first, gradually transforming into a spectacle of color and form. That's the magic of orchids. It's a journey of patience and learning, of small triumphs and occasional setbacks. But above all, It's a journey of passion. Embrace the orchid's captivating beauty. Start your orchid growing journey today.